player of the month and a player of the week. What does that say about those two guys?
It's great for them to get acknowledged for. I mean, we've been talking about a lot. It's been pretty obvious that those guys have been outstanding, in particular in this last month. So yeah, it's very much deserved.
Peter making consecutive starts for the first time this year. What led you to want to give him that chance?
Well, he's earned it, I think, is the first thing. It's no secret that Jack stumbled here a bit of late, and we have been talking about getting Peter more time in the net. We think the timing and everything just really makes sense.
Sheldon, how much does Bunting set your mind that he's in that line, given that earlier in the season that was a bit of a audition for that spot?
Yeah, I mean, I had a pretty good sense that he was going to settle it somewhere in our top six, whether it was going to be with John or whether it was going to be with Austin. Obviously, the way we started things, was different. We didn't have Austin in camp. And then, we had other guys that we were giving opportunities for, or opportunities to, I should say. And then fully expected that Bunce, just knowing the competitor that he is, if I moved him around and started him lower, that he was going to kind of work his way through it. Or if not, at least really push those ahead of him. And, as it turns out, he's made his way right to the top, and really no surprise given the competitor that he is. And, he's got a good skill set. I think, as we've talked about, he's got great chemistry with Austin. And now I think, with Mitch, that's grown as well. And that group's been very good for us. And you can just see Bunce is just getting better and better every time out.
Chemistry on the ice is obviously the most important thing, but how much does it carry off the ice? Because he's a guy who you talk about his personality, but he seems to just seamlessly fit in with those guys off the ice, on the ice, almost everywhere with his personality.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think that's really important. Like I said, in particular with Austin, I saw that right from really early in camp that those guys had a connection. They were spending a lot of time. You see them coming and going from the building together. You could see that chemistry there. I think it's important. It encourages guys to, obviously, all our guys want to do well for one another, no matter who you're playing with, but even more so when you have that connection and you're spending more time together, it encourages you to talk more and find solutions when things are difficult. So I think that's really important, and it was great to see early on in camp for a guy like Bunce coming in. He's a new player to our team. Guys like Austin Mitch have obviously been here a long time, and for him to fit in like that was great to see from our perspective. And then he just did his talking on the ice from there.
What stands out to you about Peter's personality? Talking about personality, it feels like the personality of a goaltender can be really important for a team just because of the importance of the position, and it probably wasn't easy for him with all the time missed early in the year. What's your sense of his personality and how he's integrated into the room?
Yeah, I think he's been great in that sense. He's a pretty easygoing guy. He keeps things pretty light. He's easy to talk to. He's, he's a charismatic guy. He talks to everybody. He's kind of bouncing around the room, whether he's playing or not. And I think that's been apparent right from the start. So that's allowed him to fit in well. Obviously, with Kampf and Kasha here, that's helped him as well, having some mates from back home. But and then he. The other part is he's got a relationship with Dean Chenoweth, coming in here over from Carolina. So all those things I think have made him very comfortable from the beginning. But I think it's all rooted in the fact that he's just has a good personality and a good vibe about him. That's allowed him also, I think, to ride this wave a little bit of injuries and not playing as much as he's accustomed to, all those kind of things. And I think it has him set up well to just keep going and take advantage of getting these extra starts here now.
Justin Hall mentioned yesterday that once in a while the team has a tendency to play down to the lower ranked opponent. As a coach, how do you guard against that? How do you make sure that doesn't happen?
Well, we've been talking a ton about our game and how we play, and we hadn't been playing nearly good enough defensively, no matter who we were playing. Whether it was Montreal or St. Louis or whatever the case was, we weren't playing well enough as a team. So that's been a major area of focus for us, and we have seen that here now. From Columbus to Minnesota to Detroit, And then carrying that all through is important for us, no matter who we're playing. So that's really it. Just not let our habits slip. I think we've been through that. Like we talked about as you go through the Montreal game, that I think after I talked about it being a bit of a wake up call, and I think we're a team that's got lots to play for, lots of reasons to be dialed in, but reality is you're still in a 82 game schedule, and you're going to have ups and downs, and you're going to have dips in your play, and then you could talk about it, but sometimes you really need a real slap in the face to kind of get it dialed in. I think that's how I felt about the Montreal game, not unlike our game in Pittsburgh early in the season. We weren't playing great to start the season, and then we got really slapped in Pittsburgh, and then we went into Carolina, and you could see it coming for us, and that's how I felt coming out of the Montreal game. That is as terrible as we played in that game, and as poorly as we felt, that I felt pretty confident that some of our best hockey this season would be coming right around the corner, and that's kind of how I feel about how we've played of late. And we're just going to continue to focus on that, no matter who the opponent is.
Any lineup changes tonight?
Just the one we talked about yesterday with Liljegren. Yeah.
You're a coach who's conscious of the energy level of the building. In that respect, really full house. And what advantage do you see that creating again? I know it's been off and on, but what is it exactly you think that brings to your team?
I'm excited about it for our guys. We really feel it on the road, in particular when there's a strong Leaf contingent, which there often is. When we were doing that and coming back to empty buildings here, I think it gave us a boost to playing on the road. Even at 50% recently, it's been nice. But all of my only reference point is coming in to start the season this year in comparison to what we went through last season. And it was a noticeable difference in just everything about the game from our players' perspective, I think is enhanced. When you score goals, you get a good chance, or the emotions are riding or increasing in the game. The crowd is responding to that. It brings a lot of energy to the game. I think that's really where the true, the home crowd gives a boost to guys, and we're excited to have that come back here.
What do you think it means to the team? Tavares gets knocked down by Wilson there late in the third, and then he comes back and he does what he does to help set up the game-winning goal. When you talk about dealing with physicality and responding the right way, what do you think it means to the team to see someone like John do that?
I think it's symbolic. I think it's important. We talked a ton about that. I mean, we want to be a team that stands up and is right there in the moment. But most importantly, you want to be a team that just keeps playing through physicality, or when the emotions get high, or when the stakes get high, you just keep playing. And in fact, if anything, you got to dig in and play harder and look to get an advantage on your opponent a different way. So John competed incredibly hard the other night throughout the entire game, but really, you look at that sequence that led to the goal, he just looked very determined to make a difference, and he did that. Not unlike, you take it back, to Wayne Simmons, which even drew the 4-on-4. He went out on that shift and was very determined to make a difference in the shift, and turns out it's a contact. I don't know if it was an offside or whatever it was, but it creates a skirmish, and the emotions rise. It's 4-on-4. The game changes just a little bit. Our guys go out, and we end up winning the game through that. So I think all those things come together, and that's really what we're looking for. Is as emotions rise, as the crowd gets loud, as it gets physical, as it gets hard, keep playing and play through it. We're a good team. We can maintain that attitude. It's going to help us.
Would you want someone to go talk to Wilson in that moment, or are you fine if they just push through and respond with their play?
I mean, I'm. Of course, you want your guys. I think I've watched that sequence back. I don't know if a lot of our guys actually knew exactly what happened in the moment. It can go both ways for me. I think there is a symbolic part of it where you're staying together and all of that, but you can say whatever you want to Tom Wilson. It's not going to change a single thing about how he plays or what he does. So I don't know if it's worth really engaging with, because there's a small number of guys in the league these days, but there's a certain number of guys that it doesn't matter. Just like in a different way, it doesn't matter what you say or do to Michael Bunting. You're not going to change how he plays. So you can pretend that you're going to make a difference, but it's not going to make a difference. So I'd rather, if I have my choice, I'd rather we just keep playing and play harder and be more competitive when the puck drops.